He's innocent. The day always comes if you're innocent.
Get on the train before it leaves the station. Wisconsin.
Hello, everybody.
A complete fabrication. Get on the train.
Oh, you know what? I have to put that up first. Sorry.
The truth train is coming. Gonna run them down. Run them down.
Just give me a second while I share it on Twitter.
And we all know Stephen and Brendan were blamed, but it does not take a brain surgeon to see that they were framed. And yes, we know what this was about. The civil suit, the settlement, they did not want to pay. I want to pay out.
Today's topic, I don't know if you guys saw on
And
Facebook,
you may hear this song.
but it's going to be the suspects, basically. Ryan, Bobby Scott. Just talk about whatever kind of aspects of the evidence or whatever kind of.
Evidence files and reports, and you will start to fathom the corruption within the courts. And as you shake your head because everything seems demented, you will find yourself in company of 3 unbanked judges that dissented. But don't you worry, you're not going insane.
Hello, Joy.
You just happen to sit down on
Hello, Alba Gamer.
train. Get on the train before it leaves the station. Final destination, inevitable exoneration. Get on the train.
All right. Hello. Supporting the Australia shirt here that was given to me by Mark Hodnott today. Like to always showcase the international support with this. So, well, thank you, Mike Clements. Hello, Karen Kay from Wisconsin. Hello, Mike from the UK. So yeah. So there's one thing I wanted to keep reminding people of here, and it's very important because I saw people talking about it at the end in the chat at the end of the video yesterday. They were talking about it, so I just want to make it absolutely clear right now at the beginning of this video for people. The Avery family. If you want to support the family and the yard and and the salvage yard and that sort of thing, then the way to do it is to click on the link that I've left down in the information below this video. There's a link there that says to get an Avery t-shirt, and they offer a number of articles of clothing. Actually, they have sweaters, beanies, hats, and shirts, and they have various shirts from. Been 3 different years of the rally, so there's 3 different shirts for that. There should be a various amount of clothing articles available, and if you want to support the family, that's the way to do it. The family is, want to make this absolutely clear, not starting any GoFundMes. They are not doing it. Zero, zilch, no GoFundMes. If you see a GoFundMe for the family, you tell me, you tell Paul Capaldi, Mark Hodnott, Carla Chase, somebody who can get that information back to the family so that they can make it aware. They can basically make it known that somebody is trying to scam people. Because if you see a GoFundMe for the family, that's what it is. It's a scam. The family is making it very, very clear. If you want to support the family, then go to the link that I've left in the information below and buy an article of clothing from the family. And that is the best way you can support them, and you can make sure that your money is going to the family and not to some scammer who's trying to get rich off of it. Hello, Sharzi from Birmingham. What's going on with you, Joy? How come all your messages keep getting retracted? It's great because his family does need support. Yeah, and this way it's going to the family. I mean, they're not doing GoFundMes that way because if they did one, then other people could do it and it would be hard to know, but they're not doing that. So they're doing this where you buy the specific Avery merchandise that they've created. You know that you've supported the family when you get your merchandise. There, so you know what I mean. It's very obvious, and there's no chance. You know, it's just if they were to start a GoFundMe or something like that for to allow people to support, it would just open the door for scammers to be able to do a bunch of stuff. So they're sussing that out, and by buying the clothing, you're helping them greatly. It does help the yard very much. So I would suggest that everybody do that, and then keep an eye out for those GoFundMes. Let's get those scammers. Oh, okay, Joy. Hello from Denmark. Hi, Noller. So, I was watching another YouTuber's video today. A guy I like. He's called Fresh Start Mondays. I don't know if you guys know who he is. I was watching his most recent Ryan Hilligas video, and I thought that was pretty well done. He did a pretty good job on it. Pretty impressive. I noticed, Fresh Start Mondays a few months back, and well, it's more than a few months probably. It's more like about 6 months or so. But he did this really, really good video on Ryan Hilligas. If you haven't seen it, you should probably go check it out. It's really interesting. Some of the screenshots that he shows and stuff in there are pretty interesting. And it just got me thinking again, just the fact that, man, dude, there's just still so much about Ryan that's just, it just keeps, it doesn't stop with Ryan. It's like, I don't know. Everybody wants you to believe that, oh yeah, all this stuff with Ryan is just innocent. It's all innocent. It wasn't, whatever. That's really hard to believe. There's just too much stuff he keeps coming out with that keeps coming out where he's just looking shady as hell. So figured we could talk about Ryan. You watch Paul's video? Yeah, I watched Paul's video too. And all that stuff right now, all I can say is it's kind of rumor mill. I don't know if all that stuff is true. But yeah, there's talk that Bobby's wife left him. There's talk that she took the kids. I don't know any of that definitively, so I really hate to spread rumors. So that's why I'm going to say that's exactly what this is rumors. But yeah, Paul did do that video. Paul did talk about some other things that were interesting as well. But yeah. So Andrew Colburn is up to his neck. Kathleen is some woman. Yeah, she made a tweet about Colburn because people were asking, are you going to go after, Colburn in this and that. And she basically had to say, look, right now, I can't really go after the bad actors in this. She said, when Stephen is exonerated and when I actually get him exonerated, then we can file the civil suits and then we can start going after the bad actors in this. And she intends to go after them. So she's making that known. As soon as she can get Stephen exonerated, she intends to go after the bad actors. And she's making that clear right now. Yeah, it will rain Ham, the day planner. Yeah, will it rain Ham the planner moving into her apartment? Yeah. And now I hear people making an excuse. Oh, that was her parents that asked him to move in there and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah. Well, it's just bewildering to me. Why would they do that? It's just strange to me. The whole situation is weird. Ken talks how much was left out. Oh yeah, Ken talks about how much was left out of MAM1. Yeah, he did. And then we all went and looked at those things and proved that 90% of them were actually provably false, and the other 10% were sketchy at best. There are lots of viewers from the UK, Sharon Young, absolutely. Does the video you're referring to show Kratz appearing to make a hand signal while Ryan was testifying? Oh, I don't know. I didn't see that in Fresh Start's video, but it may have been. It certainly may have been. I've actually seen other videos that has the whole King Kratz doing like gestures, like going like this, or doing like or sitting there like this, like with like one finger up, like go like this, and and then he like lowers it slowly, like yeah, like there was some weird, or like a weird like a blink or an eye twitch or something, you know, like there was some weird stuff that did look like signals that Kratz was giving witnesses or something. And so that was very odd. Is there going to be a part 3? That will be up to the filmmakers. Some people are saying that it's already been said, but I haven't seen that officially yet. How can KZ introduce the CD evidence without a judge? Well, that's why right now KZ is getting ready to file with the appellate courts, and there's already one filing with the appellate courts. But right now there's a separate issue that is on the side of that. And so the original motion for post-conviction relief is on hold right now. It's on a stay while this whole CD thing is figured out, and the potential Brady violation with the CD is figured out. So she's going to be filing with the appellate court about the CD and the Brady violation on December 20th. So the appellate judges can absolutely do something about this. They can send it to a different judge than Angela Sukowicz. They can send it back down to the district court for an evidentiary hearing, except they can send it to a judge that isn't Judge Sukowicz. So that's something that the appeals court can do. So we gotta wait for what happens with the appeals court, and it's not going to happen overnight, unfortunately, folks. So I would say keep your eye on my channel in the coming months. And you'll hear whenever court filings happen, I cover them, I read them. I put the documents up in my videos. When I actually upload, when I'm not going live like I am now, when I upload videos, I actually put in documents and sections of video and a lot of like case evidence in my videos. So you'll see coming up that I'll be doing something like that. Hopefully part 3 will be... Yes, absolutely. Hopefully it'll be when they get out. The appellate court sent it back down to Judge Sukowicz. The appellate court sent it back down to Judge Sukowicz, and she made her ruling. Now Kathleen Zellner is going to make a filing talking about how Judge Angela Sukowicz's ruling didn't hold with Wisconsin law and various other things. And like I said, the appellate court... The appellate court originally, I think, didn't really look at the whole CD situation favorably to begin with, and when they sent it back down, I think they intended there to be some kind of a hearing so that there would be more basically more testimony and more about it that they can review, because at the appeals court they can't actually have people testify, and you can't actually introduce evidence and stuff there at appeals. All they are is a review court, and as strictly a review court, you can't really introduce new evidence there or do anything. So the way that Judge Sukowicz was stalling this and starving this by not granting an evidentiary hearing in either one of these, the appellate court is going to be left with the deciding, did Kathleen Zellner take a machine gun and shoot holes completely through the prosecution's narrative and what happened here, or did she fall short? And that's what the appeals court's going to be deciding. I think she's completely shot holes all throughout the prosecution's narrative. Numbers of things that cannot be true that the prosecution claims that happened, and so it goes on and on. Why Steve or Brendan offered why was Steve or Brendan never offered a lie detector? I don't know. I don't know. And I know with Steven, he would have probably passed it, because when you watch him in his interviews with Margaret Wiegert and Fassbender and stuff, he's always pretty cool as a cucumber, even though they're trying to trip him up and use deceptive tactics on him, and he's just kind of like, but I didn't do this, or whatever, and he's like, he just kind of sits there and stands his ground without getting upset. So that's the kind of temperament that would usually do well on a lie detector. Thank you, Andrew. Sukowicz does come off as biased. Absolutely. She certainly does. I mean, I'll put it this way. After Zellner's original 1,200-page motion, the filing for post-conviction relief for Stephen Avery, when she ruled on it, in her decision, she started to explain the hood latch experiment and why it didn't matter. But in her description of the hood latch experiments, she made it like painfully obvious that she didn't really read it and fully understand what the expert was saying. She made it very clear in her analysis that it was, I mean, to me, it was very clear that she did not fully comprehend what happened and what was important about the hood latch. Because what the point she ended up making about it was like arbitrary and just not like very odd. It was very strange. I did a video about it. If you guys go back, you type in like Stephen Avery and Judge Sukowicz, you know, the video will pop up most likely. Oh, you're welcome, Brooklyn Ray. I believe Stephen had offered to do a polygraph test, but it was never done. Yeah, they probably knew he would pass it. You know, they probably knew Stephen was telling them the truth because they know. See, the read technique tells them what somebody acts like when they're telling the truth and what somebody acts like when they're lying. And Brendan essentially had his head down and was showing like the indicators that the read technique tells investigators to look for. But Stephen wasn't. Stephen was looking at them straight in the eye. He wasn't getting upset. He was just answering them honestly and stuff. Those are the things that Reed teaches investigators, that somebody's telling the truth. They didn't want to hear that. They didn't want to know about that. That wasn't something they were interested in. So, yeah. Law enforcement was only able to upset and use was the kids. Yeah. Part 2 was good, but it ended poorly. Well, yeah, suppose, possibly. You know, we'd all like to see Brendan and Stephen out. That would be the ultimate, you know, that would be the ultimately good ending. Or at least getting a retrial. At least that would be a pretty good ending, I think. But you can only deal with what's there in reality at the moment. So yeah, it was doomed to have a disappointing ending. Law enforcement. Okay, I would love to see everyone involved in this case get the brain fingerprinting for Zellner. Yeah. Stephen did the brain fingerprinting, which is better than the polygraph. Yeah, it's beginning to get respected. It's beginning to get noticed, and it may in the next, say, over the next 5 years, maybe 10 years, it'll maybe start getting used in courtrooms more often and actually become a something that gets used more often. But right now it's still just so new. People are skeptical. It's having a little bit of trouble getting traction. Love watching you and your videos. Thank you for going live and not at midnight. You're welcome. This today was me trying to give those people that are normally on the really bad hours. I tried to go at this time today to give those people a chance to be able to get on with us here. So I'm glad that it worked out for you and you're able to get on here. So that was the whole point of trying to go midday, since it was a weekend and I didn't have to work. I wanted to try to give as many people as possible a chance to show up and join the conversation. Part 2 is very emotional. Yeah. Thanks for all you do and have a great... Oh, yes. Thank you, Toxic Twin. The more Kratz tried to defend himself, the more guilty he looks like you. I want to see the non-existing explanations for how the investigation and trial was handled, but I do want to be a part of any profit. Oh, like with Kratz, yeah, but he'll write books. Right, exactly. He'll cash in on it all day long. School is something I still need to go get myself registered for, and I'm thinking I'm probably going to be doing that after the holidays. I'm probably going to be, I might probably go for the spring session over at the local community college. You got to watch the Dodgers game you know what? Let's talk about the Dodgers for a second. That game was killer, was it not? We got any Boston fans in here? Because I'm a good sport, but I gotta imagine it really sucked. If I had been up till 4 o'clock in the morning watching a game like that with the Dodgers and they had lost, I would have been that would have been like a kick in the teeth. So I gotta say, I did have some sympathy for the Boston fans last night, but I mean, it was only 1:00 or 1:18 here when it ended. But 7 hours, over 7 hour game. I mean, oh my gosh. But I'll tell you what, the Boston may have really, really screwed themselves here because they basically went all in that game last night. They went all in. They pushed in all their chips because what they did was used up all of their starting pitchers. Okay, they used them all. The only pitchers that pitched in that game for Boston last night were all of their starting pitchers. They were trying to go lights out on the Dodgers. Because the statistics are, if you go up 3-0, that nobody has ever come back from going down 3-0. So they were basically trying to get that third win and get 3-0, and so they used up all their starting pitching. Now, for the next 2 games, they're going to have to start like middle relievers, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Boston's pitching now over the next couple games, because after all that, it didn't work out. Because I'll tell you what, everybody, I mean, I knew it when Muncy stepped up to that last at bat. When Muncy stepped up to the plate, I knew from Evaldi's first pitch, I go, oh yeah, Evaldi remembers that shot that he hit in the last at bat that was only foul by 5 feet. So Evaldi remembers that because he didn't want to pitch to him. And he ended up getting down in the count, ended up going 3-2, and then Muncy took him to center, and it was like, I go, there we go. And so, yeah, Boston, I think, may have stepped in it because they used up all their starting pitching. So this is going to get interesting, I think. So, but yeah, that was extremely exciting. Extremely, I mean, it's great to be a Dodger fan and to see him win a game like that and battle it out and scrap it out and you know, against all of Boston's best pitchers. And yeah, they squeaked it out. I love it. I stayed up until it ended too. Even my aunt was on. I was talking to her on Messenger and stuff, and even they were up. And she's like, "I want to go to sleep, but I can't. I want to go to sleep, but I can't." And it was so funny. I was just like, just up talking with people who were watching it. It was just hilarious. Yeah. It's awesome. I mean, yeah, it was because it was a bummer. The first 2 games were in Boston, and they, didn't, kind of came up on the short end there. But that battle last night, that was a scrappy little battle, and they hung in there and they pulled it out, and it was just great. It was a great win. Total Dodgers fan, that they're against the Red Sox is going to be great to watch. Absolutely. Telling me to calm down. Sharon Young must be a Boston fan. So absolutely. They were pointing it out in the game yesterday because you have to give pitchers a certain amount of time off if they pitch so many innings. So pretty much all those pitchers, I think, aren't going to be available for at least a day or two. So they're going to have to start, like I said, they're going to have to start like middle reliever this weekend or middle relievers this weekend, and not probably what they were hoping to be doing. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be changing it's going to be causing them probably to change their whole style of what, of coaching and their methods. So anyway. So yes, that was terribly exciting. It was great. It was awesome. So it was a lot of fun, watching that game. But yeah, like it was just going so late, and I was biting my nails. I was nerve-wracked. I was just like, oh my gosh, and especially when Muncy hit that shot to right, and then it was just slightly foul, and I was just like, my heart sank. But when he got back up to the plate the second time, I'm like, oh, here we go. I go, here we go. He's got his number, and he did. He had it, and he got him. Oh, you're a Boston fan. You stayed up so you were up till 4 in the morning. Like I said, almost 4:30 in the morning, right? Lucy Lockwood. It was actually fun kind of seeing the Dodgers. So yeah, total Dodgers fan, right? Let's see. Ended at 3:30 here in Boston. Okay, they'll win 2 more. Probably not tonight. Go Sox. We should have an online chat during the game. Oh, that'd be fun. Maybe, I could go live. I have another YouTube channel. I could go live on that. That's possible. I could do that. I wouldn't want to do a Dodgers game on this channel, though. Erekose M.A.M. on baseball. Now, my other channel is called Erekose on Doctor Who. So, so to talk about suspects. Now, like I said, what we've got is, I like the way Zellner explained it. Or, well, at least I found it interesting, I should say, the way that Zellner explained it in MAM2 when she said she has the list. And if you're on the list, you are the person that that her and her, staff think were culpable, responsible, or involved, or at least there's just things about them that need to be explained that as of yet have not been explained, right? So on that list we have Ryan Hillegas, we have Bobby, and we have Scott Taddick. I would argue that we also have Michael Osmundson. Those of you who don't know that name, it's an important name. I would also add that name to it. So, we have that list. We know that Josh Radant used to be on that list, but he went in to see Zellner. He spoke to Zellner and her investigators, and after speaking with Josh Radant, he seemed honest and answered their questions in a way that seemed honest and didn't seem like he was being dishonest, and so she now thinks that he has cleared himself, and she's fairly confident that Josh Radant didn't have anything to do with it, but he did have some useful information. So that was interesting. Oh, calm down. I have to think. That's funny. I have to think Scottish. Yeah, let's see. If it was one on the list, if I was on the list, I would want to cooperate. Right, exactly. Especially if I didn't have anything to worry about. If I knew I didn't have anything to worry about, I'd want to just go in and go, yeah, look, this is where it happened. This is where I was. This is what I was doing that day. I would just say, look, this is what was going on. Even if I would try to prove whatever I could prove, but if I didn't have receipts from stuff I was doing back then or whatever, if I couldn't prove exactly what I was doing back then, I would just go in and be just straight up honest, like, this is what I was doing. I was doing this, I was doing that, I was doing this. I wasn't anywhere really near there, type of thing. And then let that get investigated, and eventually I'll get proven true or false, right? And then I'll get removed from the list. So that's kind of the way I would see it. So I don't know. Barb and Bobby and Scott said that he saw him drive by him, and then didn't she? Right. I don't know about Barb being in on that, but I know Bobby and Scott gave each other alibis saying they drove past each other on Highway 147, I think it is. So, yeah, I know about that. I'm not sure about Barb and saying she saw anybody, but I think one of the big things that is important, though, is like, because we hear in that call that we first of all have Brian Dassey, who has been claiming since day one that Bobby originally claimed that Teresa left, and he's been consistent in that claim ever since day one to this day. Then we have the prison call with Steven, where Barb says, "Oh, well, Bobby says she left." That's what Barb says to Steven. She tells Steven, Bobby says she left. But then when Bobby's talking to John Dietering, that's not what Bobby says. So we're left with conflicting, statements, and it's a mess. So who is Osmundson? Michael Osmundson is, you would have heard about him in MAM1. There's the whole thing about they talk about Steven being in the garage with Bobby and his Bobby Dassey and his friend Michael Osmundson in the garage, and Bobby was gutting a deer that he had found on the highway, and Steven came in, and there was talk about a joke about Steven saying did Michael Osmundson want to help him bury a body or whatever. Well, it all came from Michael Osmundson asking Steven, "Oh yeah, what'd you do with that girl?" or whatever, because of all the stuff that had been on the news. And so he was messing with Steven because obviously from the news reports, people were focusing on the salvage yard. So Michael Osmondson was messing with Stephen. He was like, oh yeah, what'd you do with the body, you know? Whatever. And so Stephen makes like a flippant remark back, basically saying, oh yeah, you want to help me bury the body kind of thing, but, you know, whatever. Well, it ended up becoming... The problem with this is that it ended up becoming important when exactly that statement was made. And it had to get figured out. And it turned out that the statement was made after all this stuff had been coming out on the news. So it wasn't like it was information that shouldn't have been known that was getting talked about. And the whole thing is, even if it was information that shouldn't have been known, the fact is that Michael Osmondson was the one that initiated the exchange with his original flippant comment or joke. So Michael Osmondson is an interesting guy. He was there's a few things about him that are kind of interesting, and so that's why I mention him. Stephen had receipts in 85 about when he went to Green Bay and all that stuff. He absolutely did. How about when you hear Scott going wild on the phone to Stephen? Yeah, he literally says, I know Scott has serious anger issues. He has a temper, and he doesn't control it very well. It'd be interesting. I mean, it'd be interesting to see if Scott could really put Stephen in the ground like that without the help of a weapon. Hey, dude, just finished my gig in St. Boswell's. What have you missed? Oh, dude, you missed it. We solved the case, dude. We totally solved it. It's all over. No, just kidding. It was just dark humor jokes. Yeah, it was. It was just dark humor jokes. So it's not like all that, you know, I don't hold it too much against them, but but the thing is there's other things about Michael Osmondson that I don't necessarily want to go into right now here in a live video where I can't put up documents to kind of support what I'm saying. So I'd rather wait until I do an upload video where I can kind of give it the coverage it needs. So Bobby's idea, that's a wrap. The reason I say is because of the phone call where she says that she was with Scott, so he couldn't have done it, and then says she didn't have the internet at the time, and that's not true. Yeah, there's those things that she said, and yeah, it's. But I'm wondering. Barb doesn't strike me as a very technically understanding person. It could be that the kids were somehow getting America Online through like 3 free offer discs and things like that, and through some creative, use of like free America Online discs or whatever. Could have been getting free internet and she wasn't really aware, or if she was aware, she just doesn't really fully remember it because she wasn't the one paying for it. I don't know. I just don't know. But they clearly did have internet. Barb is wrong when she says that, and everybody should know that because they did have internet. It's undeniable. They absolutely did have internet. So yeah. Hey dude, thanks for reading my message from the. Oh yeah, you're no problem, buddy. Buzz. Burning question. Having fights with guilters recently, they keep bringing up old abuse, molestation complaints from Queso. Anyone into any info on these? They bring up. You got to remember how the investigators in this case were going around and pressuring and kind of bullying Stephen's family, anybody they could, into trying to say that Stephen molested them, touched them inappropriately, anything at all, anything, unwanted advances, anything. They were looking for anything at all that they could about Stephen, and they were pressuring people to say things. We know how Brendan was coerced, right? Well, they also pushed him into saying that Stephen had touched him too. The investigators. Let me put it this way: they were trying to get Jody to say things like this against Stephen, and they were coming to see her at basically lockup. She was in lockup because she had gotten another DUI. So they were coming over to the lockup to talk to her, and they were trying to put pressure on her to say these things about Stephen. Eventually, they left one day after they left. She told the jail or whatever. She said, "Don't let him back in. I don't want to speak to him anymore. They're not welcome here." And that was it. Because she was sick and tired of them coming in there and saying the really and suggesting the nasty and disgusting things that they were suggesting when she was clearly resisting them, and she just got fed up and she told the jail, keep them away, I don't want to talk to them anymore. So yeah, it's wild. It's hard to know what is truth and what is not when you have so many of the investigators going around in this case deliberately trying to fabricate the evidence that they want. It makes it so difficult to know what's truth and what's lies. Now, there was the niece. Yes, there's the niece. You know what? We'll talk a little bit about Michael Osmondson then, because some people seem to have a little bit of knowledge of this here. The niece is Marie. Okay, and Marie, at the time, Michael Osmondson had a bit of a crush on Marie. Well, Marie had a little thing going with Stephen. They were not. They were. It was a mutual thing, and it was not a molestation type of deal. It was, so anyway, and she was adult age and that sort of thing. But Michael Osmondson was, from what I understand, very sweet on Marie. He liked Marie a lot. And there's a lot of people now that have been that have been reasoning that Michael could have been jealous about Stephen, and was possibly mad that Stephen might take his girl, or the girl that he was interested in, especially if he got all that money in the lawsuit. And so some people reasoned that Michael Osmondson might be involved in this because he was jealous. I think there's enough of the dots connecting on that for me to be able to consider it somewhat seriously. Barb Dionis is about anything but not the brightest spark. She's confused how zippers work. Yeah. Not being ugly, but with SA having such a low IQ, I think in 2 10-hour seasons on MAM, he would have already contradicted himself by retelling his story of what happened. I don't know. He has told the same story and has not contradicted himself since 1985. I mean, in that whole time, he held his story, and he ended up being proven true. And then now we have this time where he's held his story all along, and so we'll have to wait and see. Time will tell. Do we still think Barb knows more? A lot of people do. A lot of people do think that. I know. Has anybody seen the Dave Bagaka video placing Steve at the patrol station on October? Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah, that was one. That one came out in like March of 2016. It was one of the very first ones Dave put out. The very first ones Dave put out were the club videos. The ones that have the red writing. The thumbnail is just like the red writing saying part 1 or part 2 or part 3. The club videos were good. Actually, I have a notification right here. Dave Bagaka just uploaded, everybody, by the way. So when we're done here, you can go over to Dave Bagaka's channel and see what he just uploaded. It's called Dave Bagaka, Bobby Dassey Computer. So you guys can go check that out when we're done here. Right, Megan Monahan. His story has never changed. That's why Stephen gets the benefit of the doubt from me. The liars at the state of Wisconsin, who I've seen now prove themselves liars multiple times on multiple issues, they're the ones that no longer get the benefit of the doubt with me. Stephen gets the benefit of the doubt with me because I haven't caught him in a lie yet. I can bet Stephen is the only one whose story will match. You tend to forget lies. Yeah, exactly. And then that's how your story changes. You tell one lie, and then you always end up having to tell 3 more lies to support it. And then, eventually you got to tell 3 more lies for each one of those 3 lies until eventually the whole thing collapses under its own weight. The only thing Barb knows is when her next delivery of drugs are due. Okay. The investigator's stories and other people's stories do change. The way I feel, if you're truthful, your story won't change. Exactly. And that's what I've always said about Brendan's story. Brendan has always told a very consistent story until he gets broken from it by law enforcement and they start feeding him information. The story he tells has always been consistent. Came home, went home, played video games. So-and-so came over, talked to so-and-so's boss. Stephen called. Went over there for like an hour. That story, Brendan told that story, and when he recanted his confession, he went right back to that same story, over and over and over. That's how you know it's the truth, because the person is actually thinking back to their memories and describing the memories that are in their head. And that's why it continues to stay true, because it's not trying to remember a lie you made up. You're actually remembering the moment in time in your head, and that's how it stays true. Investigator stories and other people. Okay, yeah. Is it true Bobby was dealing drugs? I can't say that definitively at all. I have heard that there possibly might have been some selling of marijuana. Don't know. Can't say that for certain. So I don't like to start any rumors, so I want to make that absolutely certain. I don't know that for certain, but I heard there have been speculation or maybe possible rumors to that effect. Stephen and Brendan's original stories have always been the same. Absolutely. A guilty person would never be able to have an unchanged story after 13 years. Right, because they would be so busy trying to cover other lies that they felt could expose them, and they always end up making little changes, slight changes and stuff like that. Who can Casey go after when Steve gets exonerated? She can probably go after Colburn. She can probably go after Mark and Tom Fassbender, possibly, because of the collected groin swabs from Steven. If they end up proving that hood latch swab is what they think it is. Anywhere where there was shiftiness in the case, anywhere where an agent of the state potentially lied, I would imagine she would have an opportunity to go after any of those people. I used to get on my kids all the time until I saw Bobby's room. Precisely, all this time, right? Was Brendan's story about the calls to the house verified that night? As far as I know, they were. Actually, not sure. I haven't looked into that specific aspect too deeply. You don't have to say who, but do you have an idea of who did it? It's hard to say, but like I said, it's, right now Bobby and Scott look like very good suspects, because if it's one of those two or involves those two, it explains how the blood could get from Avery's bathroom sink to the RAV4. So they're a good suspect, but like I said, I am still very, very much interested in whoever this person was that was stalking and harassing Teresa. I am just very, very interested in whoever that is. Because that seems like a person who could be stalking. He would have seen, if he was stalking her, he probably knows that Teresa went to the Avery salvage yard several times in the last couple months, and could have been lying in wait, waiting for her to go back to photograph another car there, because because they knew that Stephen Avery was, that the cop, that just putting the slightest bit of suspicion on him would cause the law enforcement to just boom pile on it, right? So it's the potential. The problem with this case also is the fact that the law enforcement, although they don't want to acknowledge it, is that they were so willing to pile on any excuse to go after Avery. They were just ready to jump on it like a dog for a bone. And that makes this case, it's all these types of things that make this case even more suspect, and make it where you can't really trust what you're getting from the state, and you can't put too much faith in it. It's sad. Okay, hey Maggie. Barb and Brian hold the key to this for me. They know Bobby is lying and seeing TH leave, right? I think this case gets ended if you just get Scott on a radio station when he had a few too many right beers and is desperate. Yeah, could be. For me, Bobby and Colburn at the top of the list for involvement. Yeah. Weshaw, Westshaw. Unfortunately, to get Brendan out, they have to implicate Bobby. Yeah, they just at least they have to create reasonable doubt for in Steven's case to get Steven out, and and like I said, Brendan's lawyers are working on his case as well. And anything that Kathleen Zellner comes up with that can help Brendan, she has already said, will be immediately sent over. So it would prove that Brendan's first story was correct. And yeah, right. Yes, it certainly would. Isn't it really possible that the stalker was Ryan Hillegas? And the answer to that is yes. It is absolutely possible that the stalker was Ryan Hillegas. And in fact, that's probably not good for Ryan Hillegas because of the page of the day planner, him lying about the blinker light, and Teresa filing insurance and getting a lump sum and then just not fixing it, and him giving Pam Sturm and her daughter a camera and a direct line to Sheriff Poggle when they said they were going to go over to the salvage yard. I mean, on and on and on it goes, dude. Brian looks very fishy. Oh, yes. Oh, let us not forget the TV interview where the reporter asks him and Mike, oh, so you were on the salvage yard or whatever, and you see them both going like, well, we weren't really on there. They came and, somebody else went on there and found the car, and then the police, the sheriffs came, and then they taped it off, and it was all, crime scene, and nobody could get in, and that's what he's and the whole time Ryan's talking, you're seeing like Mike Hallbach's face. It's funny, like you're seeing Ryan from the side like this, and you're seeing like Mike Hallbach's head come out like this, looking at Ryan, and he's like staring daggers at him, like and then he like his head goes back, so then his head goes back like this, and then you see Michael's head come back out again, looking at Ryan. It's really odd, really, really bizarre to watch. It would prove that Brendan's story in the first... Yeah. I thought Ryan was the stalker. It could be... It could very well be. Ryan could very well be the stalker. It's an absolute possibility. I'm not saying it isn't. Yes. Didn't Ryan say he was calling her after 10:31:2, which phone records don't show? Right. Exactly. It says that there was no calls. That was something that was in Fresh Start Monday's videos, that he was showing that there was no calls on the 31st or after. And he had been calling her every Monday prior to the 31st, and the 31st was a Monday. And he had been calling her every Monday prior to that, but didn't call her on the 31st. Very odd. Very strange. When she proves who did it, does that person or persons go to prison? Joy, the answer to that is that it's going to be up to the state. And the sad part about this right now is that most likely nobody will end up getting in trouble, because the state is not going to feel like they have enough evidence to go after Ryan or Bobby or Scott or Michael. They're just not going to feel like they have enough to go, and it's probably just going to end up going unsolved. It pains me to say that and to think that, but that's what the investigators did here. This is why I've been so pissed off for 2.5 years in the first place. It's what the investigators did here. That what they've done is so much. It's so much worse than just devastating the Hallbachs, just devastating the Averys, just devastating the Dassies. But what they've done to that area, the amount of money that they spent on this BS case, and the money that they continue to waste. Taxpayers in Wisconsin's money that they continue to waste on this, and it's sad. Unfortunately, they made such a mess of this. Yes, exactly. Such a damn mess of it. So many shifty characters involved in this. Yep, it's a nightmare, absolutely. But they didn't have enough for Brendan. What about Bobby's back being all scratched up? That, yeah, he says it's from his puppy, and it's like sketchy. It's just kind of like iffy evidence at the time, because people are, he claims it's from his puppy, and people have like these opinions about those scratches. If you get into some discussions about those scratches, you'll find that some people say that they don't look like scratches from like human. They do actually maybe look like puppy scratches. So I would say look at them yourself and kind of come up with an opinion of what you think. Doubtful essay will get out unless an Alford plea deal is struck. Well, we already know that Zellner doesn't do Alford. She won't do it. It ain't going to happen. At least it ain't going to happen as long as Zellner is Stephen's attorney. Teresa wrote in a letter on her diary that Ryan still comes over to her house and and stares at her under the guise of visiting her roommate. Right. Yeah, that's something I heard as well, that Teresa was getting kind of bugged by the fact that Ryan was around more, and she couldn't seem to escape him. Yeah, that stupid Alfred plea. No way, man. Admitting guilt without admission makes it so they can't sue. Exactly. And Zellner won't have that because she's already put up all kinds of money. She intends to make her money back in the civil suits. I don't know that Ryan said he called her on the 31st, but he claimed he'd seen her on the Saturday to drop something off at her home. Yeah, but couldn't recall if it was day or night. Exactly. All that. Right. Absolutely right. I've been posting the truth on some Facebook groups about this. Somebody just tried hacking my messenger. Oh, really? Oh, wow. Remember, don't ever accept a messenger request or a friend request from somebody you're already friends with. Remember, folks, don't ever do that. That person that's sending the second friend request, that's somebody trying to mimic your friend's account, and then you make them a friend and they can see all your stuff. So always remember, don't accept a friend request from somebody you're already friends with. When will we hear a response from the court on KZ's evidence? KZ will be filing with the Court of Appeals on December 20th. When she files that on December 20th, that's when you come back here to my channel. And then within one day, generally within one day, sometimes it has been known to happen where it takes me 2 days, but generally within 1 day of the filing, you have something here on my channel. I put the documents up on the screen. I read the documents there while they're on the screen for you. So I've actually had a lot of blind people that started tuning into my channel just because I read the documents like that. But anyway, so you will be able to come here on December 21st or December 22nd at the latest, and you will be able to get most of the gist of what Kathleen Zellner files on December 20th. With all the evidence she has uncovered, it is likely that it could all be ignored. It could be, but she'll keep knocking at the door. Zellner will keep on knocking. She'll just keep on pounding and pounding and pounding on that door. And eventually somebody's going to get sick of that pounding, and somebody's going to get sick of all the international attention on this one small little area of the United States called Wisconsin. And that white hot spotlight is eventually going to get uncomfortable enough that some people are going to do some things to make a difference.
Power off.
Sorry, folks. Hold on. So, why did Ellie ask for a veterinarian in Two Rivers? I'm not sure about that veterinarian thing. Has anyone else read that Mike Hallbach was childhood friends with Blaine Dassey? I don't believe I have read that. Teresa was no angel. I do think there may be more suspects if you look into her life. Yeah. She was certainly, enjoying her youth. She was experimenting and finding out what she was looking for in life, and she was living her life, and she was not living like a saint. How do I know the murderer was not a cop? I would say I don't know that specifically, but the way the evidence is pointing right now, the three suspects that the evidence is pointing at are none of those three people are cops. So that's the only way I can answer that. The Hallbach family can't be happy that the right men are in prison. I don't know. I don't know that they're happy about it or whatever. They may be starting to doubt, may be starting to creep into their mind now after MAM2, and they may be hearing some of the things that are coming out in it, and they may be, there may be the small little seeds of doubt, planted in their minds that may continue to grow over the next couple months, and maybe eventually the Hallbachs will kind of just, probably just pull back from law enforcement and just create, get as much separation between them and the state as possible, so that they don't get hurt by the fallout that's going to come from this, and it's going to come. Smoking pot doesn't make her a rebel, no. But like I said, look. I don't want to get too down in on this. Teresa was having, some sexual encounters. It was, she was a young lady. She was in her early 20s. She was, getting to understand what she liked in life. Look, I am not at all critical. So what I will say is she was not a saint. In other words, she was not a nun, and she was living her life. If you listen to her I love video, right? She gave shortly before she died. You can see that she's not living on the edge. Yeah. I think she seemed pretty low key and yeah, not all tweaked out or anything like that. What's your partner's opinion? You mean my girlfriend? Oh, my girlfriend, yeah, she watches all my videos and everything. We watch all these things together. We're both of the same opinion. Going to get some more beers. Oh, that sounds good. Oh. Stella's are not twist off. There we go. Let's see here. So hard trying to read and catch up while listening. Yeah, I imagine you should probably just go ahead and stay caught up with us. There's nothing wrong with what Teresa was doing, but doesn't mean she didn't piss someone off. That's true. Avery's were in some ways the American dream. The old man built his own business from the ground up. Absolutely, he did. And he was very proud of his, of the salvage yard and everything. I love Alan. He's such a great guy. And she seemed distant in the I Love video. Yeah, I did pick up on that as well. Avery's were self-sufficient. Yeah, it wasn't her own Chuck. Have a conviction. Yeah, they did have some from when they were younger, some kind of harassment or something along those lines. Something strange like that. I don't know exactly what it was, but there was something like that was kind of unsavory. I didn't have to go. No, I have my studio, man. It's well stocked with snacks. Yeah, definitely. When I'm out here working and stuff, I have granola bars and fig bars and little quick energy snacks over here on my right, and then I have Dr. Pepper and beer and salami and cheese and various other things in my little snack refrigerator on the left of me, and beer. Be sure to include the link where we can order the t-shirt. The link is already down there in the info below. It's already there. It's been there for the last 2 videos, by the way. But yeah, it's there. It says for t-shirts, email. Or I'm sorry, that's not that one. But it says, let me tell you what it says. Oh, I forgot to rename it, but okay, yeah, we'll put it there. Yeah, I'll have to. I already added it once, but I'll add it back in again. I don't know how it's gone, but I'll add that link back in for the Avery Yard t-shirts. They were creeped out by flowers from Chuck Earl. Okay. Yeah, that very well could be in the reports. That is brutal work, but very necessary for the U.S. economy. Somebody has to do it. The I Love video from Teresa was a while before. It was a college project. Absolutely, yes. You touched on the color of the RAV4. How come this is not a massive issue, green to blue? It's been an issue for a lot of people. In fact, I have two videos about the color of the RAV4 because there was so many people out there talking about it. I went ahead and just pointed out some of the strange anomalies with the color on that RAV4, and so I have a couple videos regarding that. So it's been talked about, and it is a big deal for people. Did you see yourself in the documentary? Yes, I did. Like when Mark H was talking, were you in the background with your baby blue shirt on? Yes, that was my Control Question t-shirt that was sent to me by the Mad Scotsman over there in Scotland, Mr. Capaldi. That's the one he made up for me. So yeah, that was me. I was interested in the RAV4 color changing. That's something I'm not very educated on. Yeah, like I said, I have a couple videos about the RAV4 color changing and stuff like that, and some of the issues with it, and yeah, so I have a couple of those. You can go ahead and feel free to go check those out. Mystic Teal Mica. You're gonna find out all kinds of things about the color of RAV4s that you never wanted to know about, but you know. Chuck initially told law enforcement Steve was back in 10 minutes after the appointment. Why later in MEM does he say he thinks that Steve did it? I don't ever remember Chuck saying that. I'll have to go back and watch the videos on the color change. Okay, yeah, I have 2 of them, so yeah. And then, because there's a lot of information I go through, a lot of documents. Also, Chuck felt the yard was his when Steve got out. He was worried. Well, I don't know about that. I'll put it this way. Chuck's the one that, after what happened to Steven, Chuck's the one that went around and made sure that nobody could ever get in through the yard like that ever again. So, self-made, I can believe it. Self-made is how self-sufficient people tend to get there. Yeah. Cheers from Canada. Hey, what's up there? Shite show? I don't have to call you shite because I don't usually cuss on my channel. You ever strike me as simple people, not bad people. Absolutely. They strike me as very simple people, but yeah. Hi, dude. Heading home now. It was the KZ tweet about DigiSpy that really piqued my interest. Yeah, I haven't gotten a chance to go on Twitter and look at her tweets today, so I'm not exactly sure what the DigiSpy is yet. Have you done any videos on Teach's death certificate or what the date is on it? I don't know if I did or not. I know I've mentioned that birth certificate, but I don't know that I've ever done a direct video about it. I don't think I have, actually, but I'm pretty sure other people have. You might check Sean Atwood's channel. Casey Martinez might have one. What's it called? Purple X Cutie or whatever might have one about it. I don't know that I don't think I ever did. I've talked about the death certificate, but I don't think I've ever shown it or gone into depth on it. Do you think Brendan make up the stories about Steve because it was his cousin told him to? Yeah, I don't know. I don't believe the stories about Stephen molesting Brendan. So it's hard. Yeah, I don't know how much I can put stock in any of that. Chuck does say in an interview that he thinks it was Steve. It's on MEM1. Okay, well, maybe. Maybe at one point in time he was having a moment of, doubt or something, and he maybe said that. But I was there at the yard in June, and I spoke to Chuck for probably about 25 minutes, and we were talking about the burn pit behind the garage there. We were actually standing right next to it. He was telling us, me and some others, about what all he had done around the edge of the property with all the berms, and how, look, I'll put it this way: the guy's adamant that his brother's innocent. So whatever he said in MAM1, he is recanted. He now does not feel that same way anymore. Kratz making hand signals. Yeah, definitely. I think I do remember that one from her. Sean Atwood has a really good video on how to contact Governor Walker and pressure him, right? How can you support Brendan? In that's the two things that are still there. If you look in below, in the info below there, I can see there's a way to send Steven mail and a way to send Brendan mail. Chuck said he 100% believes Steve did it. Okay. As I said, he certainly doesn't believe that now. Tell us more. In Zeller's Q&A, she said Bobby crushed his blazer. Very suspicious. I thought that was interesting too. I didn't even know about it. I was like, wow, that blazer's crushed? Wow, why would it be crushed? I mean, I was kind of like, I don't know. It was weird, but yeah. Could Trump pardon them? No, I don't think so. He might. He could possibly try, but yeah, I don't think so. Obama couldn't. So, as his parents believe in Steve. Have you heard the Real Crime Profile podcast on the first season? They had Steve down as guilty. Be interesting to hear your thoughts on the second season. Real Crime Profile podcast. I don't know if I've ever actually heard that one. I've heard of a lot of guys like what's the one rebutting the murderer. You know, I hear about that one a lot. But yeah, I don't know if I've heard about that one. I'd have to check it out. Jim Clement. Wait, is that? How was the Warlock? You know, I don't. It just was something. You know, the guy just kind of gets on. And he has some friends that get on with him, and apparently he's been having some feuds with some other people on YouTube or something. So they just wanted to talk about MAM because him and one of his subscribers have had an interest in it, and so they wanted me to come over there and so that they could talk about it and everything. I chatted with them for probably about half an hour, and then I was off and watching Laura because she went live, and she went live for about 2 hours or over 2 hours yesterday. So that's why I was getting on so late last night. So. Nancy Graceland, yeah. I was in episode 10 when they show the rally coverage in episode 10. You'll see me in here. Oh no, I don't have the shirt right here. It's in my the baby blue control question T-shirt. They didn't state in the tweet when it was crushed. They just stated that it was. Oh, you were listening to my call? I don't know what's going on with him because that live episode has not uploaded to his channel. I've been going back to his channel because he wanted me to post my channel link in the first comment of his, in the comments below. But I keep going back to his channel and looking for the live video to show up as one of his videos, but I haven't been able to find it. So. Hey, KZ needs to put more pressure on Bobby and Ryan and the others. Yeah, well, that's the whole point of having them on her list. That list is the white hot spotlight list. Yes, Tara, I respect Jim, but he was dead wrong on that one. Yeah. KZ needs to put pressure on Barb and Brian, and yeah. Well, she's putting all kinds of pressure on lots of people, folks. Trust me. Just because you're not seeing results doesn't mean those people aren't feeling the pressure. You just gonna have to wait. Some people are gonna crack eventually. It seems inevitable at this point. Somebody told me I was slow because I said there's no such thing as sweat DNA. You are absolutely right, Nathaniel. Okay? Just so you know, you are absolutely 100% right. There's no DNA in sweat. Sweat itself has no DNA. It's only the possible skin cells that can come off in sweat that contain DNA. So you're absolutely right. Don't worry about them calling you slow. They're the ones that are slow because 2.5 years after Kratz said that BS, they still haven't picked up on it. So they're the ones that are slow. I know, disappointing, right? Okay. They know their stuff, but they were completely wrong in this case. Hopefully, they will turn things around if they watch season 2 right. Reasonable doubt is no good for a new hearing. Needs to be definite evidence, like new DNA, etc., like in his first trial. Well, yeah. So Andy Wigg is of the opinion that only DNA can cast reasonable doubt on a conviction. And Andy, it would seem anyway. I'm not of that mind. I believe that convictions can be gotten wrong, and to act like they are some sacred thing that is beyond, question is silly. Yeah, it was. I know. When you said it, I was just like, oh yeah, they're the slow ones though. Yeah, totally, Nathaniel. I hear you. I was just like. I just thought it was funny because for them to say that when they're the ones that are actually slow is hilarious. Mm-hmm. Can Gazy get the RAV? She's trying. I mean, she bought one exactly like Teresa's so that she could perform her experiments, but, I mean, she's trying. Do they need absolutely new evidence for the courts to acknowledge them? We'll see. The appeals court's going to take a look at what she's got now. And if it's not enough, she'll keep digging up more evidence, and then she'll keep coming back and keep knocking on the door. It's the way it's gonna go. Okay, Muskie Lover, episode 10, light blue, baby blue shirt, episode 10, rally coverage. I thought I said that already, but maybe I missed it. But absolutely, episode 10, rally coverage. I believe the circumstantial evidence shoots complete holes all throughout the prosecution's narrative. I believe the prosecution's narrative is now a tattered, remnant of a piece of cloth at this point. It's so ridiculously a farce because there's so many things they did wrong. Well, they've essentially shot themselves in the foot for being such poor investigators and such poor, just pretty much everything they do. KZ could get to a RAV. You wouldn't be able to. Teresa's even the police didn't have it. Okay. First Start Monday reference you in a bunch of his videos. Yeah, him and I have talked several times. Ever since his first video, him and I have talked several times. So yeah. Nothing that KZ has brought as actual evidence. Okay. You're entitled to your opinion, certainly. Hell yeah, caught you live. Good day, sir. Yeah, I'm actually about to sign off. We're about the 113 mark here, so they can't retry on new circumstantial evidence. Okay. Zellner has dug up more enough evidence for a new trial. I believe that she has completely shot out the prosecution's theory. Yeah, in my opinion, she's completely obliterated it. Andy Wigg's going to tell me why that's not true now. Here, let's see. It should have been done at trial, as it wasn't. Yeah, well, Zellner can't do anything about what wasn't done before she came on board. So, she just has to deal with the cards that are in front of her. KZ is now defending the gymnast abused by the convicted. Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, Zellner has enough for neutral. Definitely called anything they said into question. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you, Joy. We need an executive order. Yeah. So Bobby, Scott, and Ryan all seem guilty to me. But I can't come up with a theory for them to make them all of them fit the crime. Maybe it wouldn't be all of them. Maybe it'd just be two of them or one of them. So it's either Bobby did it or Ryan or just thrown in somehow. Right. Well, it's Zellner's theory, of course, but it looks like right now her theory involves Bobby and Scott. What amazes me most is that there's so many people in power, DA, judges, and everyone can turn a blind eye to what's obvious. Yeah, absolutely. I believe in Zellner. Steve will go free one day. I just hope that the parents get to see him. Yeah, I agree. I hope that too. We watched season 1 and I'm recalling back to when the defense lawyers were being called out. Oh, wow. Thank you very much, Tara. Thank you very much. You're very kind. What happened to that? There it goes. Being called out for harming Colburn's reputation and his kid's school. Can't imagine how. Yeah, I know. Colburn became suspicious because of his own actions and trying to blame everybody else. That's all the state tries to do, is to blame everybody else for why they have these problems right now. And they will not take responsibility for their poor investigation, their poor prosecution, or any of the things that they did that are causing them to be pulled into question. It's all everybody else's fault. They're like screaming children. Oh, thank you. I'm happy you caught me too. I'm happy to be here to help discuss the case and give people a place to discuss. I'm going to be going probably roughly the same time tomorrow. Maybe I'll go later in the afternoon tomorrow. Maybe. So instead of before noon, it'll be more like afternoon. So maybe between 1 and say 4 tomorrow. Just so you guys know. Hit the $sign next to the chat. Okay. Oh, nice. Good. Yeah, that was very nice. Thank you very much, Tara. That was very, very generous. Thank you very much. I'm the bomb. I'm the shit. I love it. The Dassey confession is shit. Doesn't work. Evidence is certainly tainted. Okay. Well, you're certainly entitled to your opinion, Andy. I see it a little bit differently. Later, Erekose. Oh, see you later, West Shaw. KZ's a gladiator. KZ for president. Yeah, well, I've heard a lot of people saying Kathleen Zellner 2020. Is there any bone digging in the other places in the area? I'm not sure how much digging they did in other spots. I know they dug up something over on the western edge. Yeah, I just don't remember exactly everything, but mainly it was by the fire pit. And I know there was, like I said, one thing over by the western edge, over by kind of on the border with the Redant Quarry, where they dug up something. It was actually ended up being just a rotten tree that they dug up. They thought it was maybe a burial site, but it was just a rotten tree. Enjoy another beer. Thank you, Julie. Oh, thank you, Sharzi. I'm in the Pacific time zone, so I'm on the West Coast. So, if that helps you guys calculate times, for me here going in the future, then great. So I'm always going to be on the Pacific edge of the United States. Yeah, that's what I'm saying by now, Hawkeye. Although I appreciate what Andy's saying and I can appreciate what he's trying to say, I just, don't really kind of fully hold with his opinion. But I accept that what he's saying, I accept that what he's saying is his point of view and it's the way he sees it, and so I can respect that. Yep, so that's how we're going to have to figure out each other's time zones so we can get it all coordinated, I guess. So, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye, folks. It's been fun. It's been an absolute pleasure to be hanging out here with you today, and we'll see you tomorrow for sure. We'll see you. So if you haven't already, please hit subscribe.